This video will go over how you can become a successful college writer. So putting it all together, in the preceding section, you learned what you can expect from college and identified strategies you can use to manage your work. These strategies will help you succeed in any college course. This section covers more about how to handle the demands college places upon you as a writer. The general techniques you will learn will help ensure your success on any writing task, whether you complete a Blue Book exam in an hour or an in-depth research project over several weeks. Writing well is difficult. Even people who write for a living struggle to get their thoughts on the page. Even people who enjoy writing have days when they would rather do something else. So for people who do not like writing or do not think of themselves as good writers, writing assignments can be stressful or even intimidating. And of course, you cannot go through college without having to write. So there's no magic formula for writing, but you can use strategies and resources to manage writing assignments more easily. And so what you can do is you could use the writing process. So in this class, we're going to go over the writing process. To complete a writing project successfully, good writers use some variations of the following process. Pre-writing. In this step, the writer generates ideas to write about and begin developing their ideas for a paper. So in pre-writing, I teach students that's when you figure out, what am I going to write about? What will be my thesis statement? What will be my outline? Outlining a structure of ideas. In this step, the writer determines the overall organizational structure of the writing and creates an outline to organize ideas. Usually this step involves some additional fleshing out of the ideas generated in the first step. Writing a rough draft. In writing the rough draft, you transform your outline into a 5-paragraph essay. So the writer uses this step. In pre-writing, you develop a first draft, and then the draft covers the basic ideas that the writer brainstormed and follows the organizational plan that was laid out in the first step. So after you write your rough draft, you revise for essay structure, and then after you know that your essay structure is good, then you edit for grammar or APA errors. So always follow the writing process of pre-writing, writing, and rewriting. Rewriting encompasses revising and editing. Chances are you have already used this process as a writer. You may have used it for other types of creative projects. Most people use the writing process without realizing it. But here are some common misconceptions about the writing process. I don't have time to waste time on pre-writing if I understand the assignment. It is important to complete a formal outline for every writing assignment. My draft will never get better, even if I do pre-writing. My instructor will tell me everything I need to revise. I am a good writer, so I do not need to revise or edit. And so, yes, you do need to pre-write. I do not have time to waste time on pre-writing. You do need to do pre-writing. Even if the task is straightforward, you have to pre-write in order to take time to develop ideas before you plunge into your draft. One pre-writing that I really like to do is something called free writing. Free writing is writing about the topic without stopping for a set period of time. And this is one pre-writing technique you might try in that situation. And notice how they bold the word free writing here. This means that this is going to occur in your quiz or your text. So anytime in this flat world, in this textbook, you see a definition in which the definition is bolded, this means that they're going to ask about that word in your quiz. So when you see a bolded definition, write it down in your textbook. Write down this exact definition, because free writing will show up on your midterm, your test, and your quizzes. And so if you take the quiz and you don't have this exact wording, you're going to get a big fat X. And I've gone over the quiz, so I should know. It is important to complete a formal numbered outline. You don't have to write it. You could do a mind map. You could do an informal outline. You could just sketch it out on a napkin. Your ideas. Everyone has their own writing process, so you have to do what it is that suits you. My draft is better when I write when I am feeling inspired. By all means, take advantage of those inspirational moments. Sit down and write your draft even if you don't feel like it. Force yourself to write, and yes, I've done that. There have been times when I had papers assigned to me and I didn't want to do it. I forced myself, sit down that weekend and just write it out. And then after I wrote it, it felt like such a release. Kind of like, well, and so my instructor will tell me everything I need to revise. Not all teachers are like that, and it's not the teacher's job to revise the paper for you. That's your job. The teacher can only give you suggestions on what to do. So you have to, during revision, and also it's your responsibility to make sure that your paper looks really good. I'm a good writer. I don't need to keep revising or editing. Well, you need to know that Ernest Hemingway, he used to revise his every chapter 29 times. So if a classical writer like Ernest Hemingway needs to revise, then so do you. So managing your time. You learn general time management skills. By combining those skills, you have learned about the writing process and you have learned how to manage your time. When your instructor gives you a writing assignment with a due date, write the due date on your calendar. Then work backwards from the due date to set aside blocks of time when you will work on the assignment. Always plan at least 2 sessions of writing time per assignment so that you're not trying to write everything all in one evening. Trying to work that fast is stressful. That's why you break it up into little chunks and you take breaks. You should set aside at least 3 separate blocks of time to work on a writing assignment. One block of time is for pre-writing, 1 block of time is for your rough draft, and 1 block of time for revising and editing. Setting goals. One key to succeeding as a student and as a writer is setting both short and long-term goals for yourself. You have already glimpsed the kind of short-term goals a student might set by reading about Crystal. By planning and carefully following through on your daily and weekly goals, then you're able, in other words, make your work in small chunks. Make small goals in order to get to your goal. So in other words, when you write a paper, you don't just sit and write the whole thing all at once. You do it, you break down in little chunks how you write your paper. So day 1, you think to yourself, okay, today I'm just going to come up with what I'm going to write about, what my important ideas are going to be, and I'll write down my outline. That's it for day 1. Then day 2, I sit down and I transform my outline into the 5-paragraph rough draft. Then day 3, I just look over my mistakes. That way you have your long-term goal is your research paper assignment. But then then you break down the long-term goals into short-term goals. In other words, pre-writing day 1, then day 2 you do your rough draft, day 3 you do your revision. Break down the long-term goal into smaller chunks and you will get more done. So that's basically what that whole thing is about. Using college resources. One reason students sometimes find college overwhelming is they do not know about or are reluctant to use resources available to them. And so here are the resources. You have your instructor. Always reach out to me if you have a question. Your academic advisor, if you have questions about enrollment, registration, life happens and you can't finish the class. Always reach out to your academic advisor. The Academic Resource Center has a tutoring center, and some schools have tutor.com, some schools have brainfuse.com, but always check out the Academic Resource Center or the tutoring services. The Writing Center. These centers employ tutors to help you. Okay, that's the same thing. So always go to go find a tutor. Career Resource Center, that helps you find a job if you don't have one. And if you're having problems, like you can, and most universities offer psychological counseling for free. So and if you don't know where those counseling services are, ask your academic counselor. So college writing skills, plan ahead, divide the work into smaller, manageable chunks. Make sure you understand the assignment, and if you don't understand the assignment, reach out to your teacher. Complete each step of the writing process. Use the resources available from your university. And then here you have an overview of Chapter 12, Chapter 14, Chapter 4, Chapter 7. Take notes of what this is, because this will help you read these chapters. So that's known as, so key takeaways. Following the steps of the writing process helps students complete any writing assignment more successfully. To manage writing assignments, it is best to work backwards from the due date, allotting appropriate time to complete each step of the writing process. Setting concrete, long-term, short-term goals helps students stay focused and motivated. A variety of university resources are available to help students with their writing. So this ends Chapter 1, Section 3. If you have any questions, feel free to email me anytime.